When ice reveals secrets, the coffee had gone cold hours ago. But Emma Chun barely noticed as she stared at the anomalous readings dancing across her monitor. As a satellite technician for the Global Climate Monitoring Initiative, she had seen thousands of ice formations, tracked countless weather patterns, and mapped every significant geological feature in the Arctic Circle. But this was different. This was impossible. The thermal imaging satellite had been conducting routine scans of the Beaufort Sea region when it detected something that made Emma's heart skip a beat. Buried beneath 37 meters of solid ice lay a metallic signature, roughly 120 meters long, with geometric patterns that defied natural explanation. The object generated its own heat signature, maintaining a temperature several degrees warmer than the surrounding ice despite being frozen for what appeared to be decades. Emma's fingers trembled as she ran the scan 3 more times, each result confirming what her rational mind refused to accept. This wasn't a geological formation, wasn't a crashed aircraft, and certainly wasn't anything that should exist in one of Earth's most remote locations. She reached for her secure phone and dialed a number she had hoped never to use. Dr. Marcus Webb was feeding his aging golden retriever when his phone rang. Once considered a brilliant xenobiologist, Marcus had fallen from grace 5 years earlier when his theories about ancient alien visitation had been publicly ridiculed by the scientific community. Now 43 and living in relative isolation. In a small Montana cabin, he spent his days writing speculative papers that no respectable journal would publish. Dr. Webb, this is Emma Chun from GCMI. We have a situation that requires your specific expertise. Emma's voice carried an urgency that immediately captured Marcus's attention. I'm sending you encrypted files right now. Look at them and call me back within the hour. Marcus opened the files on his laptop, and his world shifted. The thermal signatures, the geometric perfection, the heat generation, everything aligned with his theoretical models of extraterrestrial technology. For the first time in years, vindication seemed possible. Within 48 hours, a covert expedition team assembled at Thule Air Base in Greenland. Marcus had convinced the Global Scientific Council that this discovery warranted immediate investigation, though he suspected government agencies were already aware and watching. The team consisted of 5 specialists, each chosen for their unique skills and ability to work under extreme conditions. Captain Sarah Torres, a former military logistics expert turned private expedition leader, commanded the operation. At 38, she had organized scientific missions in every hostile environment on Earth, from Antarctic research stations to deep Amazon expeditions. Her no-nonsense approach and tactical expertise made her invaluable for operations requiring both scientific precision and survival skills. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a materials scientist from Tokyo University, brought cutting-edge analysis equipment capable of determining the composition of unknown substances at the molecular level. Her small stature belied her fierce intelligence and determination to solve puzzles that stumped her colleagues. She had developed revolutionary techniques for examining materials without damaging them, essential for studying potentially irreplaceable artifacts. Viktor Petrov, a survival specialist with mysterious credentials from various Arctic expeditions, served as their guide and safety coordinator. The massive Russian man with a graying beard had spent more time in polar conditions than most people spent in their homes. His ability to predict weather changes and navigate treacherous ice formations had saved numerous expeditions from disaster. James Mackenzie, a Scottish engineer with expertise in thermal excavation and heavy machinery operation, would handle the technical aspects of uncovering the object. His innovative approaches to ice removal had revolutionized Arctic construction projects. Mac's cheerful demeanor and constant stream of engineering jokes helped maintain team morale during stressful situations. The helicopter flight to the coordinates took 4 hours through increasingly harsh weather conditions. As they approached the site, Victor pointed out troubling signs in the ice formation patterns. The area showed recent shifting activity despite being far from any seismic zones, and the ice coloration varied in ways that suggested unusual thermal activity below the surface. "The ice here is wrong," Victor announced through the helicopter's communication system, his Russian accent thick with concern. "I have worked Arctic for 23 years. Ice does not behave this way naturally." Setting up base camp required 18 hours of continuous work in -40-degree temperatures. The team established a heated command center, sleeping quarters, and equipment storage within a protective perimeter of wind barriers. Mac's thermal generators provided power while his custom-designed heating systems maintained livable temperatures in their temporary structures. The initial excavation revealed the craft's outline more clearly than satellite imagery had suggested. Rather than the rough shape Emma's thermal scans had indicated, they discovered elegant curves and perfectly smooth surfaces that seemed to flow like liquid metal frozen in time. The object was definitely artificial, constructed with precision that exceeded current human manufacturing capabilities. Dr. Tanaka's preliminary analysis of ice samples from around the craft revealed traces of exotic materials that didn't match any known elements. The isotopic signatures suggested the object had been buried for approximately 50,000 years, far longer than human civilization had existed. This discovery sent shockwaves through the team's understanding of Earth's history. "This changes everything," Marcus whispered as he studied Yuki's initial findings. "If this craft has been here for 50 millennia, it predates human civilization by tens of thousands of years. We're looking at evidence of intelligence visiting Earth before we had developed writing, agriculture, or permanent settlements." Strange phenomena began occurring as they deepened the excavation. Electronic equipment experienced intermittent malfunctions despite being rated for extreme conditions. Compass readings fluctuated wildly within 100 meters of the craft. Most disturbing, team members reported dreams that seemed unusually vivid and shared similar imagery of vast starfields and unknown constellations. Mac's thermal drilling equipment worked around the clock, carefully melting away ice layers while preserving the craft's integrity. The process required delicate balance between speed and caution. Too much heat could damage whatever lay beneath, while too little would make the excavation take months they didn't have before Arctic winter made the site inaccessible. On the 7th day, the breakthrough occurred. Mac's final drilling pass revealed what appeared to be an access hatch, perfectly circular and approximately 2 meters in diameter. The surface showed no signs of corrosion or damage, despite millennia of burial. Strange symbols, neither carved nor painted, but somehow integrated into the metal itself, surrounded the hatch's perimeter. "I've never seen anything like these markings," Yuki said, running her gloved hands over the symbols. "They're not etched or raised. They seem to be part of the metal's molecular structure, as if the material itself was designed to display information." Captain Torres organized a careful approach to opening the hatch. Safety protocols demanded they assume the craft might contain hazardous materials, biological agents, or unstable technology. The team established decontamination procedures and emergency evacuation plans. Before attempting to breach the seal, Marcus studied the symbols for hours, comparing them to every ancient writing system in his database. The patterns showed mathematical relationships and geometric progressions that suggested a sophisticated understanding of physics and engineering. Some symbols seemed to shift slightly when viewed from different angles, creating an almost hypnotic effect. These aren't just decorative, Marcus realized. They're functional. Look at how they're arranged around the hatch. This is some kind of access code or security system, but it's based on principles we don't understand. Victor, who had been silently observing the symbols, approached the hatch with a thoughtful expression. During his years in the Arctic, he had developed an intuitive understanding of mechanical systems and problem-solving, approaches that had saved numerous expeditions. He studied the pattern of symbols, noting their relationship to mathematical constants. "In my country, we have saying," Victor said, placing his large hand carefully on a sequence of symbols that seemed to form a spiral pattern, sometimes complex. "Problems have simple solutions." The symbols began to glow with soft blue light as Victor's hand moved across them. The team stepped back as the hatch responded to his touch, rotating slowly along its perimeter with a sound like wind chimes. Ancient mechanisms, preserved by the extreme cold, activated smoothly despite their incredible age. As the hatch opened completely, warm air escaped from within the craft, carrying scents of ozone and something indefinably alien. Emergency lighting inside the vessel activated automatically, revealing a perfectly preserved interior that defied everything they thought they knew about technology and time. Asterisk. "We're going in," Captain Torres announced, checking her equipment one final time. "Stay together, document everything, and remember that we're probably the first humans to see whatever's inside there." Marcus felt his pulse quicken as he prepared to enter the craft. After years of ridicule and professional exile, he was about to vindicate his life's work. But more than personal validation, he sensed they were about to discover something that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. Asterisk. What humanity never expected. The interior of the craft exceeded every expectation the team had formed during their week of excavation. Instead of the cramped, utilitarian spaces they anticipated, they found themselves in a vast chamber with walls that seemed to curve impossibly, creating spaces that appeared larger than the craft's external dimensions should have allowed. Soft, bioluminescent panels provided gentle illumination without visible power sources, and the air carried a faint electric charge that made their skin tingle. "The atmospheric composition is breathable," Dr. Tanaka announced, checking her instruments. With amazement. Oxygen, nitrogen, trace gases, all within normal human parameters. Whatever systems maintained this environment have been running for 50,000 years without failure. Captain Torres led the team deeper into the craft, mapping their route carefully while documenting every surface and feature. The walls displayed intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow when observed peripherally, and the floor felt warm beneath their boots, despite the Arctic conditions outside. Most remarkably, everything appeared perfectly preserved, as if the craft had been abandoned yesterday rather than buried for millennia. Mac discovered what appeared to be control stations with crystalline interfaces that responded to proximity with subtle light displays. "These crystals," he said, examining them with his engineering expertise, "they're not just decorative. They're storage devices, but the technology is completely beyond anything we understand. It's like they're holding information in molecular suspension." Marcus approached the largest crystal array, a towering structure in the craft's central chamber that pulsed with internal light. As he drew near, the crystals began projecting holographic displays that filled the air around them with three-dimensional images. The team watched in stunned silence as scenes played out before them, showing landscapes and creatures that clearly weren't from Earth. "It's a log system," Marcus breathed, his voice filled with wonder. "They recorded everything. This is their history, their culture, their technology, all preserved in crystalline memory banks that have survived longer than human civilization." The holographic displays revealed the craft's origin and purpose. The beings who built it were part of an ancient civilization that had explored the galaxy for millions of years, not as conquerors, but as researchers and observers. They called themselves the Cedars, and their mission was to identify worlds where intelligence might emerge and guide its development through subtle influence. Victor watched the displays with growing understanding. They were teachers, he said slowly. Not invaders, not colonizers. They came to help species grow. The logs revealed that Earth had been under observation for over 200,000 years. The cedars had watched humanity's earliest ancestors develop tools, language, and social structures. They had subtly influenced human development through what humans had interpreted as divine inspiration, genetic anomalies, and technological breakthroughs that seemed to come from nowhere. Dr. Tanaka's analysis of the craft's materials revealed technology that operated on principles completely unknown to human science. The hull was composed of programmable matter that could reshape itself at the molecular level. The power source appeared to draw energy directly from quantum fluctuations in space-time itself. Most incredibly, the craft systems had been learning and adapting throughout their long burial, preparing for eventual discovery. They knew we would find them, Yuki realized, studying the adaptation patterns in the craft systems. The technology has been modifying itself for thousands of years, becoming more compatible with human understanding. It's been waiting for, used to develop enough to comprehend what we were seeing. The central crystal array activated fully as the team explored deeper into the craft systems. A new holographic display materialized, but this one addressed them directly. The image showed a being that was unmistakably intelligent, but utterly alien, with features that suggested both aquatic and terrestrial evolution. Its voice translated through the craft systems, spoke directly into their minds. Humans of Earth, the being's message began. If you are experiencing this recording, your species has reached sufficient development to understand your place in the greater cosmos. We are the cedars, and we have been your guardians throughout your species' growth, from primitive hunter-gatherers to space-capable beings. Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes as decades of research and theory were validated in a single moment. Everything he had proposed about ancient intervention, about guided evolution, about humanity's connection to a larger galactic community, was being confirmed by the beings themselves. The message continued, explaining that Earth was one of thousands of worlds under cedar protection. Humanity had been selected for guidance because of unique traits the cedars valued: adaptability, creativity, emotional depth, and an unusual capacity for cooperation despite individual differences. These qualities made humans potentially valuable members of the galactic community. Your species faces a critical transition, the Cedar's message explained. You have developed technology sufficient to destroy yourselves or to join the community of spacefaring civilizations. The choice is yours, but know that you do not make it alone. The wisdom we have shared with your ancestors remains available to you. Captain Torres realized the implications immediately. This isn't just first contact, she said. This is an invitation. They're offering us membership in something bigger than we ever imagined. The craft systems began responding to the team's presence more actively, as if recognizing their acceptance of the message. New chambers opened, revealing technologies that could revolutionize human understanding of physics, medicine, and engineering. But rather than simply providing advanced tools, the Cedars had designed everything to challenge humans to understand the principles behind the technology. Mac studied propulsion systems that operated without reaction mass, drawing energy from the quantum foam that permeated space. The engineering was elegant beyond anything humans had conceived, but the underlying principles were comprehensible to human minds willing to expand their understanding of physics. Dr. Tanaka discovered medical technologies that could extend human lifespan indefinitely while enhancing physical and mental capabilities. But the systems required deep understanding of consciousness, genetics, and quantum biology before they could be safely implemented. The Cedars had built safeguards requiring wisdom, along with knowledge. Victor found environmental systems that could terraform entire worlds or restore damaged ecosystems with unprecedented precision. The technology could solve Earth's climate challenges within decades, but only if humanity learned to work together on a global scale. The Cedars had made cooperation a prerequisite for their greatest gifts. The most profound discovery came when Marcus accessed the craft's historical records. Humanity's greatest achievements, from the development of agriculture to the Renaissance to the space program, had all been subtly influenced by Cedar guidance. But humans had done the work themselves, made the discoveries, and created the art and literature that defined their civilization. We earned it, Marcus realized with growing amazement. They didn't give us anything we didn't deserve. They just helped us find what was already within us. The Cedar message concluded with a challenge and a promise. Humanity could claim its place among the stars, but only by demonstrating the same wisdom and cooperation that had brought them to this moment of discovery. The craft would serve as Earth's first starship, but it would only function when operated by a truly united human crew representing all of Earth's peoples. The test was never about finding us. Captain Torres understood. It was about what we would do when we found them, how we would work together, how we would handle the responsibility of this knowledge. As the team prepared to leave the craft and return to the surface, they carried with them more than evidence of alien contact. They possessed the key to humanity's future among the stars and the terrible responsibility of guiding their species. Through the greatest transition in human history, the Arctic wind howled across the ice as they emerged from the craft, but the team no longer felt the cold. They had discovered that humanity was not alone in the universe, that their species had been guided and protected for millennia, and that the stars themselves awaited their arrival. Victor looked up at the aurora, dancing across the Arctic sky with new understanding. "They are still watching," he said quietly, "waiting to see if we are ready." Mac powered down his excavation equipment, knowing it would never be needed again. The craft would remain hidden until humanity proved ready for the responsibility of interstellar travel. But the knowledge they carried would begin transforming their world immediately. Dr. Tanaka carefully sealed samples of the craft's programmable matter, understanding that she held in her hands materials that could revolutionize human technology. While hoping her species would prove worthy of such power, Captain Torres coordinated their departure, but her mind was already planning the next phase. They would return to civilization with the most important discovery in human history, carrying the burden of guiding their species toward a future among the stars. Marcus took one final look at the craft before it sealed itself and returned to its frozen sleep. His life's work was complete, but his real mission was just beginning. Humanity had passed its first test by finding the ship and understanding its message. Now came the greater challenge of proving they deserved their place in the galactic community. Helicopter lifted off from the ice, carrying 5 humans who had left Earth as explorers and returned as ambassadors to a future they could barely imagine. Behind them, beneath the Arctic ice, a starship waited patiently for the day when humanity would be ready to claim their inheritance among the stars. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of galactic citizenship was about to begin. Asterisk.